Welcome to the Actus Webucate, how to make continuous performance management a reality. It's the topic of the season, isn't it? Everyone's been talking about this, but how do you actually make it happen? This webinar is going to show you how. So the focus is, what's a problem with the term performance reviews? Why is everybody talking about continuous performance management? And most importantly, how can you make this a reality? First of all, why are performance reviews so painful? Well, largely because they're seen as being backward-looking. They're just a snapshot in time, and all too often, particularly with paper-based or Excel-based systems, nothing reports from it or nothing comes out of it. So as a result, because there's no value add, people just go through the motions. They comply with it rather than see it as valuable, and it's done in a top-down way. It doesn't promote ownership. And whatever you think about the term millennials, that just isn't fitting for today's society and today's workplace. So we believe that the key here is about performance achievement. Let's ditch the term performance review. It's about looking forwards and making sure that that focus is future. So how can you do it? Well, at Actus, we've been talking about doing this for a long time, but the reality is sometimes quite difficult. And if you want to achieve culture change in your organisation, you have to give people clarity about what's expected. It's not going to work just saying, go off and do check-ins, go off and talk on an ongoing basis, because everybody is so busy nowadays. So you need to give structure and clarity about what's involved. And here we have a very simple year-round conversational structure which will help you achieve this within your organisation. So you can see we've got the annual cycle here, and we've divided it down into 4 sections essentially. So 4 check-ins, which is the current terminology, but you can use your terminology. The beauty is here, it's about flexing this to meet the needs of your organisation, but dividing up and giving each check-in a clear focus. Then everybody knows what to expect and what to prepare for. So we're saying at the start of the year is setting objectives. Over the course of the year, you're going to do regular one-to-ones and check-ins. You're going to talk to people regularly, but also you're going to have these slightly more formal conversations where you're gathering key information that enables HR to add value to the end user by pulling through things like development needs and obviously career aspirations. So it's getting that balance. Let's look at it in a little bit more detail. So at the start of the year, month 1, we should be reviewing last year, of course, but actually if you're using continuous performance management, that's quite easy. The focus is future. It's all about setting smart objectives. Now, we have separate modules on smart objectives that you can happily look at, but the main takeaways here are those objectives should be aligned with the purpose of the organisation, they should be aligned with the business goals so people know how they contribute, and they should, of course, be supportive and relevant to the individual's role. They need to be meaningful. We say set them, maybe it's about agreeing them, so the individual suggests those objectives that are meaningful, and then on a regular basis, individuals should be able to check in with their manager during one-to-ones about their progress against those objectives and ideally gather evidence throughout the year. Of course, Actus makes that easy. We have milestones and you can comment all year round, which means come the end of the year, the appraisal's almost done. So that's the start of the year. Regular one-to-ones should be taking place. And we should be giving feedback throughout the year, helping the individual to have clarity about whether they are performing effectively or otherwise. Then, at the end of month 3, so quarter 1, this is where we feel it's really important to focus in on development. All too often, with old-fashioned once or twice yearly appraisals, development is added at the end of the year. You do your appraisal and someone says, well, what would you like in terms of training? Well, surely that's too late. For us, we believe that development should be early on in the year. It might well be that that development or training is needed to help the individual be successful in meeting their objectives. So this focused conversation should be about looking at progress to date and identifying, is there anything that's developmental that might stop this person from being successful? If there is, Let's come up with those training needs now. Let's document them, and ideally, if you put them in a system like Actus, your L&D department can respond real time. If we then meet that development need over the course of the year, that is massively improving the individual's chance of performing, and that's performing against objectives that are important to the business. So everybody wins. So development shouldn't be a reward at the end of the year. That's what makes it meaningless. It should be something that's real time, and it's not necessarily about formal training. It could be research. It could be about somebody sitting down with colleagues. It's about on-the-go learning. As a result, the individual can see the purpose of this. They can see the value of it. It's going to help them be successful. Now, that's where we're saying have a development focus at the end of quarter one, because it's logical. Now, of course, you can talk about development at any point in the year. Then, at the end of month 6, or at the half-year point, this is where we think it is useful to have a more formal appraisal, where the focus might be how are we performing against our overall objectives. Actually, you might need to look at things like behaviours here too. So is this individual demonstrating the right values or behaviours for the job, which could also result in additional objectives or development objectives. But this point is so important if you're going to do some sort of end of year rating or any kind of performance related pay. You must give people honest feedback about their perceived performance at that mid-year point to avoid surprises at the year end. No one comes to work wanting to be an underperformer. Many causes of underperformance are about lack of clarity. So the mid-year appraisal point is the time where we should be having courageous conversations, helping people understand how their performance is and giving them the opportunity to improve it if necessary. We keep going, we should still be talking to people, obviously having one-to-ones, but then towards the end of the year, this is where we feel talent and career conversations fit. So at the end of quarter 3. This is where you know if this individual is motoring on to be a high performer and you want to keep them motivated. It doesn't really make sense in the old-fashioned 3-hour appraisal to talk about performance, to talk about objectives, to talk about development, and then to talk about career opportunities and career aspirations. It devalues this conversation that should be highly engaging and requires some understanding about what somebody really is looking for. This is also absolutely key to engagement. It's your opportunity to give the individual feedback on how they're perceived by others. So you may be bringing in 360 feedback. You might link this into succession planning, and it's about helping this individual realise that they have a future in your organisation. Retaining talent is one of our biggest challenges in the workplace today. A 20-minute talent and career conversation that's specific to that individual and has dedicated time as per this framework is going to increase your chance of engaging staff. So at the end of the year, the work's been done. Because you've been talking all year round, those conversations have taken place. They've been quality conversations, they've been focused conversations. And that means it's not a painful tick box exercise at year end. You can then literally sum up what's been achieved. Much of the work and documentation has taken place, hopefully within Actus if you've used it, and it's simple and effective. It just closes the loop, and that allows you, again, rather than focusing huge amounts of time filling out pages of paperwork, the work's been done and you can focus on the future with your member of staff. It's logical and it's simple and effective. And just to support this, the evidence suggests that this is the right thing to do as well. Recent research from CIPD demonstrates that actually when we're talking about performance ratings with staff, we are often less honest, shall we say, or we report differently than when we're looking at developmental ratings. If you split out the conversation in the way that we've suggested, we are enabling greater honesty and more constructive conversations between managers and staff. Performance conversations and developmental conversations do not naturally fit together. We shouldn't be wedging them on into an end of year appraisal. We should be splitting them out, making them more frequent check-ins that are high quality. So, key points about how to embed continuous performance management and how to make this real. We're saying development should be linked to your achievement of objective skills or competencies, and you need to talk about it early in the year and on an ongoing basis. Really, to make this work, you want to have real-time visibility, and a product like Actus does do that, of course, and it allows you as HR or learning and development to respond to development needs or career opportunities. If you can respond to them using real-time data, then of course people will see the value in having had those conversations. Too many of us have had the experience of things being documented in paper-based systems, put in a drawer and nothing happening with them. This is about developing and progressing and strategically enabling the organisation to get more from their people and, of course, retain them because people feel valued. This should be an empowering process. Staff need to be held accountable for this, and one-to-ones should take place throughout the year. We've said separate out developmental ratings and performance ratings, and this is very much backed up by the evidence. If you are going to use performance ratings and to pay against those, you really do need to make sure that this process is objective. We can help you in this, but a calibration process is important to look at the objectivity of different ratings. But overall, having a process like this will give you transparency about performance, but also empowers the individual to see where they can go. They know they have a dedicated career conversation. It isn't the end of a list of things on a 3-hour epic, so people feel motivated and valued, and this will result in greater engagement, greater performance, and greater retention. We hope you enjoyed this Webucate. Our next Webucate is on the topic of evidence-based performance management, where we'll be looking at the evidence that drives high performance. If you want to take a look at more of our quality resources, just visit actus.co.uk or drop us a line on info@actus.co.uk. Thank you for your attention.